What unfolds when you finally stop bargaining with your own worth? Not with forced affirmations that echo without meaning, but with a realization so profound it settles into the very core of your being. You are already complete, worthy, without condition, without negotiation. Yet many of us drift far from this truth. We trade away our inner peace just to be liked. We forgive those who repeatedly wound us, hoping they'll change. We accept fragments of love and call them generosity. But beneath it all, there's a quiet ache, reminding us that something deeper is waiting. Buddhist wisdom speaks of a subtle, yet irreversible shift, a turning of the mind where the endless pursuit of approval gives way to stillness, to self-acceptance. In that moment, you stop chasing and begin choosing. You choose peace. You choose self-respect. You choose the path that honors your own spirit. And from there, life itself begins to reshape. Stay with me, because before we close, I'll reveal a powerful practice rooted in Buddhist teaching, one that can help you rewire your sense of worth and carry it with you every day. But first, if you're new here, consider subscribing to Deepest Wisdom. Each video is created as a doorway into calm, clarity, and timeless Buddhist insight, designed not just to inspire you, but to transform the way you move through life. Lesson 1: The silent power of self-worth. If your self-worth could be seen like a shadow following you, what would it reveal about the way you move through life? Even when we think no one notices, the world responds to the energy we carry. Life reflects back the level at which we value ourselves, not as a punishment, but as a quiet mirror of our inner state. Think of it like this: self-worth is the fragrance of a lotus in bloom. No hand can seize its perfume, yet everything around it is affected. Bees gather, the air changes, and beauty unfolds without the flower ever needing to prove itself. In the same way, when you embody self-respect, you don't chase attention. It comes naturally, drawn to the silent strength you radiate. Picture yourself entering a room with nothing but calm confidence. No performance, no disguise, no hidden plea for approval. Just the grounded certainty that you are enough as you are. Instantly, something shifts. People's words soften, their eyes linger, and even the atmosphere bends toward your quiet presence. But when we forget our worth, a different story unfolds. Without realizing, we signal to the world that we will accept less than we deserve. And so, instead of fullness, life offers crumbs. Not out of cruelty, but because at some level, we agreed to it. How many times have you forced a yes when your heart was crying out for a no? How often have you endured actions or words that chipped away at your spirit? Buddhist teaching reminds us that all experience begins in the mind. To value yourself is not arrogance, it is awareness. It is the mindful recognition that your time, your energy, and your presence are sacred offerings, not to be wasted. When you honor this truth, you align with the deep reality that every being has inherent worth. And from that alignment, the outer world begins to reflect the respect you first give yourself. So pause for a moment and reflect. What unspoken message does your presence send before you ever open your mouth? Does it declare, "I am worthy of peace, kindness, and love"? Or does it whisper, "I will accept whatever is given to me"? The transformation begins when you stop making deals with your own soul. The moment you choose to honor yourself, your relationships evolve, your boundaries solidify, and your inner peace takes root. This is the true silent power of life. It doesn't require boasting. It only requires practice. And here's the beauty. Once you begin to value yourself, you no longer cling to places or people that diminish you. You rise naturally, and in your rising, the world around you quietly rises too. Lesson 2: Breaking the chain of craving. Have you ever noticed that the harder you chase something, the further it seems to slip away? At first it feels cruel, as though life is deliberately holding back what you've worked for. But look closer, and a quieter truth appears. When desire is unbalanced, It doesn't guide us, it blinds us. A heart consumed by craving stops, listening to wisdom. It begins negotiating with its own dignity, willing to shrink and twist itself just to hold on. It's like clutching a delicate bird too tightly. Your grip is meant to protect, but instead it harms. Or imagine holding clear water in your palms. Open hands can hold it, but the moment you clench in fear, it seeps away through the smallest cracks. This is how craving works. Out of fear of loss, we lose ourselves. Out of desperation for love, approval, or success, we bend into shapes that betray who we really are. We accept treatment that wounds us, remain silent when truth is needed, and trade our peace for the mere chance of keeping what was never truly ours to begin with. Buddhism reminds us, attachment is not love, and craving is not care. True connection, whether with people, work, or life itself, can only flourish in the space where freedom is honored and respect is mutual. Clinging whispers, "I am not enough without this." But self-value speaks differently. I am already whole, and I share from my wholeness, not from my emptiness. So ask yourself, where in your life have you held so tightly that you forgot yourself? Was it in a relationship where silence felt safer than honesty? A job that drained you because leaving felt terrifying? Or an identity you carried long after it stopped feeling alive? When you loosen your grip, you don't lose what's meant for you. You simply stop suffocating it. What belongs will remain, not because you've trapped it, but because it chooses to stay. And what drifts away, you release without sacrificing your worth as the price of holding on. The link between craving and settling shatters the moment you decide that nothing, not love, not approval, not opportunity, is worth abandoning yourself. In that decision, life begins to mirror your strength. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop grasping and begin receiving. And in that open space, your self-worth breathes freely again. If this speaks to you, share your reflection below. And if you're not sure what to write, simply type, "My worth sets me free." Let those words be both your reminder and your beginning. Lesson 3. Detachment as an act of self-respect. Could it be that walking away is not weakness, but one of the highest forms of love you can show yourself? We often confuse endurance with strength, thinking that holding on proves our loyalty or resilience. Yet sometimes, it is in the quiet release, in choosing to let go, that we reclaim our deepest power. To release is not abandonment. It is an expression of trust. Trust in yourself and in the natural flow of life. Picture a kite dancing with the wind. You don't need to chase it across fields or pull the string until it snaps. You let it rise freely, knowing that if it belongs to you, it will circle back on its own. This same truth applies to people, opportunities, and even long-cherished dreams. When we loosen the grip of fear, we create space for what is authentic to remain. Imagine setting down a stone you've carried for years. At first, its absence feels strange. You almost miss the heaviness because it became part of you. But then your shoulders drop, your breath deepens, and a wave of lightness moves through your body. That is the freedom of release. That is the moment you stop proving your worth by clinging to what quietly drains you. Too often we carry relationships, roles, or expectations far beyond their season. Not because they still nourish us, but because letting go feels like failure. Buddhism teaches that clinging is the seed of suffering, while detachment is not coldness, it is clarity. It is the courage to see what no longer aligns with your peace, and the strength to step back without bitterness. So ask yourself, what weight are you still carrying as proof of your worth? Is it a friendship where only one side gives? A job that slowly dims your spirit? Or perhaps an old version of yourself maintained only to keep others comfortable? These are not signs of devotion. They are signs that you have forgotten your own sacred value. Detachment, when rooted in self-respect, is not about rejection. It is about acceptance. It is the moment you say, I will not shrink myself to hold on to what requires my suffering to survive. And here is the paradoxical truth. When you release with love, what is truly yours will not disappear. It will remain or return, not because you begged, but because it belongs in the spaciousness created by your self-worth. Sometimes the most powerful act of self-love is not loud or dramatic. It is the quiet decision to walk away. Not out of anger, but out of devotion to your peace. Not out of bitterness, but out of fidelity to your truth. In that moment, you remember the lightness you were always meant to carry. Lesson 4. Humility without disappearing. Where does kindness end and self-erasure begin? There is a fragile, almost invisible line between humility and vanishing, and many of us cross it without ever realizing. True humility does not ask you to disappear. It is a soft radiance within the heart. Disappearing, on the other hand, is the shadow of fear, the hidden belief that your needs matter less than everyone else's. It's like tending a garden where every plant receives water except your own. Around you, flowers thrive in vivid color, while your soil cracks with neglect. At first, you may call this noble, believing your sacrifice sustains the beauty around you. But a garden without your bloom is incomplete, because you too are part of its harmony. Picture yourself standing in a crowd, your presence steady, your voice clear but calm. You are not loud, yet you are not invisible. You give without collapsing, you serve without dissolving. This is the essence of true humility, to honor others without abandoning yourself. When humility is mistaken for erasure, a silent bargain takes place. You say yes to what drains you just to keep the peace. You dim your achievements so no one feels uneasy. You swallow your truth so others can remain comfortable. And over time, you begin to believe a false story, that being good means being small. Buddhist wisdom teaches the middle path, not inflated pride, not self-neglect. To value yourself is not to rise above others, but to stand beside them, fully present. Real humility bows with respect, but does not kneel in denial of its own worth. So reflect. Where in your life have you confused silence with virtue? Was it when you hid your truth to avoid conflict? When you placed others' needs above your own, even at the expense of peace? Or when you forgot that choosing yourself is not selfish, but necessary? Choosing yourself does not end generosity. It transforms it. It means your giving comes from abundance, not emptiness. It means your kindness is anchored in strength, not in the hope of being accepted. It means you recognize that your needs, your voice, and your dreams are not interruptions. They are part of the music. There is a quiet power in being humble, yet visible, gentle, yet unshaken. The world does not need your absence. It needs your light. And when you honor your own worth while honoring others, balance is restored. The soil of your life stays watered, and you bloom alongside every flower, not behind them. Remember, disappearing is not humility. True humility allows you to stay present, to keep your roots nourished, and to rise as part of life's great garden. If this resonates with you, share your reflection below. And if words don't come easily, write simply, "My worth sets me free." Lesson 5. Stop selling your soul short. How many times have you sacrificed your peace just to win someone's approval? It happens so quietly that you may not notice until the weight of it presses against your spirit. Each time you lower your own value, the world quietly agrees. Life doesn't argue with the price you place on yourself. It simply mirrors it back. It's like offering gold at the price of clay. You may tell yourself you're being accommodating, kind, or reasonable, but in truth, you are giving away something rare for far less than it's worth. And once this pattern forms, people stop questioning it. They adapt. But deep within, you feel the cost, an erosion of dignity that seeps into every corner of your being. Now, imagine holding a luminous gem in your hand. Lift it to the light and notice how it scatters brilliance in every direction. It shines whether or not anyone acknowledges it. That is your true worth, unchanging, untouched by shifting moods or fleeting opinions. A gem does not beg to be valued. It simply is. When you bargain with your soul, you quiet your own needs just to keep the peace. You stretch your boundaries so others can stretch theirs. You dim your gifts so no one feels overshadowed. Each of these trades chips away at your essence until you begin believing the discounted version of yourself you've been offering. Buddhism teaches that the roots of suffering lie in the mind. When the mind convinces you that you are less than you are, the world reflects that illusion back to you. To honor yourself is to practice right view, to see clearly, free from the fog of fear and insecurity. It is to know without question that your life cannot be sold at a discount. Ask yourself, in what ways have you been undervaluing yourself? Is it your time, endlessly given to those who never return it? Is it your voice, kept quiet so as not to disturb others? Or perhaps your dreams, shelved under the label of practicality? And pause here. Who truly benefits when you forget your own worth? To stop bargaining with your soul, you must remember it is priceless. This means drawing boundaries that may disappoint others, speaking truths that may unsettle them, and choosing paths that may puzzle them. This is not rebellion, it is alignment. When you stop lowering your value, something remarkable happens. The way life responds to you shifts. Opportunities arise in unexpected ways. Relationships either deepen or naturally fade. The noise around you softens, and in that silence, your true worth begins to speak for itself. Never forget, the gem within you was never meant to be traded for clay. Hold it, protect it, let it shine with quiet certainty. Whether or not the world applauds, its brilliance remains. That is the unshakable strength of self-respect. Lesson 6. The quiet strength of unspoken standards. What if your strongest boundaries were not shouted but lived? Not every act of self-respect requires an announcement. Some are carried so consistently in your actions that the world learns them without you ever needing to explain. You teach others how to treat you through the choices you make, by how you begin your mornings, how you decide where your energy goes, and how faithfully you protect your time. These small, quiet decisions send messages clearer than words. Think of a tree that bends when the wind presses, but only to a point. Beyond that, it stands firm, rooted, and unshaken. Over time, the wind no longer tries to force it further. In the same way, when you stand firmly in your worth, life stops testing your limits and begins to respect them. Imagine yourself surrounded by a circle of calm light. It is not a barrier to keep people out. It is an invitation for those who honor your peace to step inside. You don't have to explain this circle or defend it. It exists because you chose it. Those who love you will respect it. Those who don't will either adapt or they will drift away. Quiet standards are formed in the smallest moments, in the way you decline without guilt, in the way you step out of conversations that drain you, in the way you keep promises to yourself even when no one else would notice. Each act of self-honor teaches others how you expect to be treated. Buddhism reminds us that self-respect is not about fighting the world. It is about harmony with truth. Boundaries are not punishments. They are protections. They are compassion in practice, ensuring that your own heart remains intact so that you can give freely without depletion. So pause and reflect. Where do you need to redraw your circle? Is it in relationships that repeat the same patterns of disrespect? In work that treats your time as endless? Or in your own habits, where you've crossed your own lines too many times to count? When you redraw the circle, there may be discomfort. Not because you are wrong, but because you are shifting old agreements that once allowed your peace to be broken. That unease will pass. What remains is clarity. You are no longer available to what drains you. The beauty of quiet standards is that they don't need approval to exist. You simply live them, and the world adjusts. When your life is built on such silent strength, you no longer chase respect, because you already carry it within. Lesson 7. The sacred power of no. Why does refusing the wrong thing so often bring the right thing faster? At first, saying no feels like shutting a door. that if you decline, opportunities will vanish. But in truth, every no conceals a deeper yes. A no is not rejection, it is preparation. It clears the space for alignment to enter. It is like pruning a tree so that new branches can grow strong and bear fruit. From the outside, pruning may look harsh, but it is an act of care. Without it, energy is wasted on what can never flourish. Our lives work the same way. When we say yes to what drains us, we starve the parts of us meant to thrive. Picture yourself closing a door gently, not in anger, not in haste, but with awareness. And as you step back, another door appears in the light, one you hadn't noticed before. That is the gift of a mindful no. It shifts your attention to what you once overlooked. Every yes is a seed. Without care, many fall into barren ground. But when chosen wisely, those seeds transform into a rich harvest. Saying no is the act of protecting your soil, ensuring your life feeds only what can truly grow. Buddhism teaches right effort, the wise direction of energy toward what supports well-being and wisdom. Right effort is born from discernment. It asks, does this serve my path, or does it lead me away? Without that pause, we trade our deepest yes for shallow comfort. So ask yourself, what in your life needs pruning? Is it constant obligations that exhaust you? Relationships that demand your silence to survive? Or the habit of saying yes just to avoid the discomfort of letting others down? What would bloom if you stopped feeding what drains you? Perhaps forgotten passions would awaken, your health would strengthen, or new opportunities would appear that align with your values. Saying no is not rejection, it is redirection. It is declaring to life, I will not trade my peace for crumbs. And when you stand in that truth, doors that truly belong to you begin to open effortlessly. Every no to what depletes you is a yes to your worth, your peace, and the life you are meant to live fully. Lesson 8. The sacred pause before accepting less. What would change if you paused before settling? In a world that moves quickly, it's tempting to accept whatever comes first, fearing emptiness more than misalignment. But the space you leave unfilled is the same space life can fill with what you truly deserve. Think of a bowl waiting for water. If you rush to pour in mud, the bowl is no longer empty, but neither can it hold what is pure. Emptiness is not the enemy, it is the invitation. Your pauses, your hesitations, your quiet waiting. These are not wasted. They are fertile soil where the right seeds can take root. Picture yourself standing in a wide, still field. The air is quiet, the horizon endless. You do not need to move until the right wind arrives to guide you forward. Too often we mistake stillness for stagnation. We accept jobs, relationships, or roles simply to escape the discomfort of waiting. But each rushed yes whispers to life, I will settle if you give me something quickly. And life, always listening, gives us more of the same. Buddhism teaches that mindfulness is not only about thought, it is about action. Mindfulness means waiting until the choice reflects your worth, not just your impatience. It means keeping your bowl clean so that when the water comes, it is pure. So ask yourself, where do you rush to fill the silence? In relationships, out of fear that solitude means loneliness. In work, to avoid uncertainty. Or in your own identity, trying to look complete before you feel complete. Patience brings gifts. It brings deeper connections because you waited for those that resonated. It brings fulfilling work because you refused to settle. It brings a gentler self-relationship because you gave yourself the grace to grow. The sacred pause is not doing nothing. It is choosing not to waste yourself. When you can stand in stillness without grasping for less, life has space to bring what was always meant for you. And when it arrives, it does not only fill your hands, it fills your heart. Lesson 9. The mirror of relationships. What if every person in your life was showing you something about yourself? Relationships are more than connections. They are mirrors reflecting the value we place upon ourselves, the treatment we accept, the words we tolerate, the love we settle for. All of it reveals what we believe we deserve. You can only receive the love you think you are worthy of. Relationships show us both the parts of ourselves we honor and the parts we have neglected. They are mirrors, not of our faces, but of our beliefs. When your self-worth is strong, reflections appear as kindness, respect, and care. When it is clouded with doubt, reflections come as criticism, neglect, or imbalance. And if you are not mindful, you may start to think the distorted reflection is reality. Picture a still lake. As you look into it, what do you see? Do you see someone standing tall, eyes clear and strong? Or do you see someone avoiding their own gaze, uncertain of what they deserve? The lake does not lie. It simply mirrors what you bring to it. Every interaction holds this mirror. The friend who encourages you reflects your inner belief in possibility. The partner who drains you reflects your fear of asking for more. The colleague who respects your boundaries reflects the part of you that stands firmly in them. Buddhism teaches interdependence, that we discover ourselves through our connections. Relationships reveal where we are strong and where we still need healing. So ask yourself, who reflects your highest self? Someone who sees you as whole and worthy without condition. And who reflects your doubt, the part of you still learning to believe in your light? Both are teachers. One helps you grow, the other helps you heal. To value yourself is to choose your mirrors wisely. It is not about cutting others out with anger. It is about adjusting the distance so your reflection remains true. When your self-worth deepens, the mirrors around you shift, the water clears, the reflections grow kinder, and the love you receive begins to match the love you have learned to give yourself. In that reflection, you finally see the truth. You were worthy all along. Lesson 10. Releasing the urge to prove. What if the very moment you stopped trying to prove yourself was the moment you finally found freedom? From childhood, the world trains us to seek validation, collecting approval, applause, and recognition as if they were evidence of our worth. But here is the hidden truth. The need to prove yourself is like chasing the horizon. No matter how far or how fast you run, it always remains out of reach. True confidence is silent. It doesn't need to announce itself. When you truly know who you are, you no longer spend energy explaining or justifying it. It is like a mountain standing steady through every season. Covered in clouds, it does not shrink. Bathed in sunlight, it does not swell. It remains as it is, rooted, unmoved, complete. When you embody this stillness, the voices of others lose their power over you. Praise no longer makes you dependent, and criticism no longer defines you. You become like the great tree in the wind. The air moves around you, brushing your skin, yet you do not chase it or try to hold it. You remain still, knowing the breeze will come and go. This is the way of one who has released the need to prove. They no longer chase what already exists within them. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that the self we cling to so tightly, the one we defend, polish, and present to the world, is not fixed. It is fluid, ever-changing, and ultimately beyond the labels we attach to it. When you stop struggling to prove, you discover the freedom of simply being. That being is lighter, freer, and more at peace than the one constantly performing. So reflect for a moment. What are you still trying to prove? Your intelligence? Your strength? Your worth? And to whom? Often, the loudest need to prove arises from the quietest doubt within. When you heal that doubt, the urge to convince others dissolves on its own. There is a quiet power in entering a room without needing to be noticed. There is strength in letting your actions speak without pushing anyone to listen. You no longer live as a performance. You live as a presence. And the peace you carry becomes a gift others feel in your company. Ask yourself honestly, who would you be if you no longer needed to prove anything? How would your voice sound if it carried no trace of fear, no need for approval? The answer is not someone smaller, but someone truer. Someone who carries a quiet confidence, steady in the face of change. When you release the need to prove, you don't fade into invisibility. You become undeniable. You walk through life like the mountain, rooted, unshaken, and enough in your silence. And in that stillness, you realize the truth. You were always worthy, long before the world ever clapped its hands. Lesson 11. The inner sanctuary of self-respect. Where does your true worth reside? Many spend their lives searching for it in the gaze of others, in accolades, in possessions, or in the shifting tides of approval. But these are fragile foundations, temporary, unstable, and unable to hold the weight of your being. The deeper truth is this: self-worth is not something to be earned, it is something to be remembered and honored. Think of it as a sanctuary within you, a sacred space no one can enter without your consent. This temple is not built of stone, but of the values you uphold, the boundaries you protect, and the compassion you extend to yourself. Its gates open only to those who approach with reverence. And once you realize this, you no longer allow careless footsteps to trample what is holy within you. Picture your heart as a temple lit by a single, steady flame. Inside, there is warmth. Inside, there is stillness. You decide who may enter, and you decide what may remain. This is not pride, nor isolation. It is reverence. It is remembering that the sacred must be treated with care. Buddhism teaches that the true seat of holiness is not in outer shrines, but in the mind and heart. When you honor this, your way of walking in the world changes. You stop saying yes to what diminishes you. You stop standing in places where you are unseen. You stop seeking validation in spaces incapable of offering it. So ask yourself, what laws govern your inner temple? Perhaps kindness, patience, or truth? And who have you allowed inside without discernment? Are there voices, habits, or relationships that dishonor the sanctity of your space? A temple remains pure only when its guardian is mindful of what is welcomed within. To live with self-respect is not to close your heart. It is to guard its doorway wisely. You invite in love that uplifts, friendships that nourish, work that inspires, and silence that restores. Everything else you allow to pass by without resentment. This is the transformation of valuing yourself. You no longer beg for scraps at tables where you are unseen. You no longer excuse those who harm you. You no longer dim your light to make others more comfortable. Instead, you stand as a living sanctuary, quiet, radiant, unshakable. So today, step into that inner temple, light its candles, clear its floors, stand with dignity at its gate, and when you open the door, let it be only for those who honor the sacredness within you, as you have chosen to honor it yourself. For this is the ultimate truth. You were worthy from the beginning, and your temple, the sanctuary of your being, was always yours to protect. If this resonates with you, share your reflection below. And if words do not come easily, simply type, "My worth sets me free." Bonus lesson. When life bows to your worth, what unfolds when you finally, deeply honor your own value? Something extraordinary begins to happen. Life itself responds. The things you once chased begin to move toward you. The endless struggle of proving and forcing fades. Instead, your very presence, rooted in self-respect, becomes magnetic, like the moon quietly drawing the tides. You no longer grasp for what was never meant to be yours. Yet everything aligned with your path begins flowing in your direction, without resistance. Imagine yourself standing at the ocean's edge. The waves roll in, one after another, perfect in rhythm, perfect in timing. You don't command them. You don't beg for them to hurry. You simply stand in stillness, knowing they will come. This is the way life works when you choose self-respect. Buddhist wisdom teaches that all things arise from cause and condition. When the conditions of your life are shaped by clarity, dignity, and inner peace, what you seek finds fertile ground to appear naturally. The moment you stop settling for less, you create space for what truly belongs to you. Yet this space can feel frightening. Many rush to fill it, with noise, with distractions, with relationships or roles that only half fit. But in doing so, we invite waves that crash against us, leaving us exhausted. The wise heart learns to wait. It stands calmly at the shore, trusting that the right tide will come at the right moment. Ask yourself, what will you begin to attract once you stop lowering your worth? Perhaps it will be love that feels safe and true, work that honors your spirit, friendships that uplift instead of drain, opportunities that align with who you really are. These do not come through desperation, they come through resonance. So meet this version of yourself, the one who no longer pleads for recognition, but rests in certainty. This self is not louder, but steadier, not more demanding, but more aligned. They understand that life is not about pounding on locked doors. It is about standing before the right ones, trusting they will open when the time is right. When you live in this truth, the world seems to bow in return. People treat you differently. Opportunities arrive with more ease. Even challenges reshape themselves into stepping stones instead of barriers. You are no longer chasing tides. You are receiving them. So today, stand at your own shore. Feel the wind, hear the waves, and allow life to meet you in its perfect rhythm. Trust that the ocean of existence has always known your name, and that every wave meant for you will arrive, not through force, not through fear, but through the natural unfolding of your worth. Conclusion. You've now walked through a journey of 11 lessons, plus a bonus teaching, each one pointing you back to a truth you may have forgotten, that your worth was never up for debate. From the silent power of self-respect, to the courage of letting go, to the sacred pause before settling, every lesson leads to the same realization. You are already whole, already worthy, already complete. The world may have told you otherwise. People may have treated you as if your value depended on their approval. But as Buddhist wisdom reminds us, peace begins in the mind, and the way you see yourself becomes the way life meets you. When you stop bargaining with your soul, when you stop chasing what diminishes you, something shifts. The world reflects back the dignity you finally honor within yourself. So ask yourself now, which of these teachings spoke to you the most? Was it the power of saying no, the strength of detachment, or the reminder that you are a living temple? Take that lesson with you today, not as mere words, but as a practice. Let it shape the way you move, the choices you make, and the boundaries you keep. And remember this, self-worth is not about becoming louder, but becoming truer. It is not about proving yourself to the world, but about standing in quiet confidence, rooted, steady, and at peace. When you live like this, life has no choice but to bow in return. If this journey has resonated with you, I invite you to stay connected. Subscribe to Deepest Wisdom, where every video is a doorway into calm, clarity, and timeless Buddhist insight. Share this message with someone who may need to hear it, because your light could be the spark that awakens theirs. And before you leave, take a moment to affirm your worth. Write in the comments, "My worth sets me free." Let it be more than words. Let it be your declaration, your reminder, your sacred vow, because the truth is simple, yet powerful. You were always worthy, you were always enough, and today you've remembered it.